What are some of the factors influencing the length of a distribution channel? We talked about length of distribution channel. Now, what factors are going to guide the traders on which length or on which number of intermediaries to use? So basically here, we want to ask ourselves, okay, before a producer decides to use 2 intermediaries or 4 intermediaries, what do they look at? Why is the producer going to involve wholesalers, retailers, marketing boards, government agents in distribution of goods and services? Why can they sell directly to their consumers? 1, we have to look at the producer's marketing skills. Okay, this is one very important factor to look at. Now, a producer with good marketing skills will prefer selling directly to consumers, resulting in a shorter channel of distribution. If the producer has good marketing skills, they have a sales team that can easily convince people to buy goods, then they may not need a long channel of distribution. Yeah, they have the contacts of the consumers, it will be faster and easier to sell to them. But if they don't have proper marketing skills, then it means they have to look for a longer channel. They'll have to involve the intermediaries to help them market their goods. That is one. Number 2, we look at the financial capability of the producer. We're talking about the finances. We're talking about money. How much operational capital does this producer have? So a producer with adequate finances can invest in transport and sell directly to consumers, resulting in a shorter channel of distribution. On the other hand, a producer with inadequate finances will involve intermediaries in order to distribute his or her products to consumers, resulting in a longer channel of distribution. So there are those producers who don't have a lot of money at their disposal, and therefore they are not able to distribute their goods directly to their consumers. So they have to use the sellers, they have to use the retailers, they have to use their marketing boards, who will offer finances to enable goods reach final consumer. 3, we talk of the nature of the product. Now, some commodities are heavy, others are heavy and bulky, others are perishable, commodities are durable. Some commodities have low profit margins, others have higher profit margins. So the nature of these products will determine how they are going to be distributed. For example, low-valued goods with lower profit margins require high sales volumes compared to high-valued goods. What do I mean? Now, when you look at a matchbox, right, plus the matchsticks, the cost of one matchbox is 5 shillings, right? Now, when the shopkeeper sells that matchbox at 5 shillings, what is their profit margin? How much profit do they make per matchbox? Would be 30 cents or 50 cents. So these are very small profit margin. So for the sales to make impact, then it means they have to sell very many matchboxes for them to make some significant profit. To sell many matchboxes, they have to use a longer chain of distribution. That is one. Number 2, perishable goods. Okay? Perishable goods, from Form 1 knowledge, these are goods that go bad very fast. Things like tomatoes, flowers, fish, right? These are commodities that cannot last maybe more than 2 or 3 days. So what does that mean? We have to sell them faster, and meaning we have to use a shorter channel of distribution so that they reach the consumer while still fresh. Another factor to consider is availability and geographical size of the market. Now, a wider distribution of consumers require a longer channel, unlike when consumers are concentrated near the producer. So when we have consumers scattered all over the place, then we'll need a very long channel to access them. But if we have all the consumers near the producer in one place, then he can sell directly to them, which will require a shorter channel. Another factor to look at is availability of middlemen. Are they available or not? So where there are enough middlemen, a longer channel may be used, unlike when there are few middlemen. So when they are there, you can utilize them to distribute the goods. But if they are not available, then we have to use a shorter channel. Next, we look at the roles played by the intermediaries in the chain of distribution. We have talked of intermediaries. Yes, we have called them brokers. We have called them agents. We have called them retailers. What role do they play in distribution of goods and services? Now, one of the roles played by intermediaries is that of reducing the number of transactions between producers and consumers. Now, intermediaries help in reaching potential consumers on behalf of the producer, thereby conducting transactions on behalf of the producer. Now, remember, an intermediary or a middleman is a link between the consumer and the producer. So if we had on consumers dealing directly with producers, we would have so many transactions. We could have a complex web of transactions. So when we have someone in between who buys from the producers, accumulates the commodities, then sells them to the consumers, it reduces the number of transactions. Now, I'll highlight that on the whiteboard, how intermediaries help reduce the number of transactions. Now, here, I'm only going to look at 4 producers and 4 consumers. We want to see if there are no middlemen, if we don't have intermediaries, how many transactions are we going to have involving the consumers and producers? So these boxes here, I have producers A, B, C, and D, while here I have 4 consumers, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So assuming there are no intermediaries, how many transactions will we have? So producer A is going to deal with consumer 1, is going to deal with consumer 2, is going to deal with consumer 3, and deal with consumer 4. Those are 4 transactions. B will deal with consumer 1, 2, 3, and 4. The same with C. We'll deal with that one, we'll deal with consumer 2, we'll deal with consumer 3, and we'll deal with consumer 4. Then producer D will do the same. all those consumers. Right? That's it. So how many transactions do we have? When we only have 4 producers and 4 consumers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? We have a total of 16 transactions when we only have 4 producers and 4 consumers. Now, when we introduce an intermediary, on the other hand, let's see how many transactions we'll have in total. So now, we don't want the producers to deal directly with the consumers. We have an intermediary in between them. So this is the intermediary. Let's say a wholesaler. How does that change? So, producer A will deal with intermediary, B will deal with the intermediary, C and D. Alright, so the wholesaler is buying from, maybe producer A is selling, let's say bread, producer B is selling sugar, producer C is selling salt, and D is selling cooking oil. Then, this consumer is going to buy from intermediary all these 4 things. Consumer 2, consumer 3, and consumer 4. So as you can see, the number of transactions have reduced. We only have 4 transactions. Not 4, but 8 transactions. So, we can clearly say the intermediary has helped reduce the number of transactions. Number 2, breaking bulk. This is another role played by the intermediaries. Now, intermediaries play an important role in buying goods in large quantities from the producers and selling them in small quantities to the consumers. Now, producers, who could be farmers or manufacturers, they mostly produce in large quantities. If I talk about Superloaf Bakery, for instance, these are producing bread, they manufacture tens of thousands of loaves of bread in a day. Now, at family level, okay, a family might buy, or they may need only 1 loaf of bread. So, the producer is going to sell, let's say, 100 loaves of bread to a retailer who will now sell them in smaller quantities to the final consumer. Number 3, we talk of accumulating bulk. Now, some cases require breaking of bulk, where we reduce the quantities of goods. When you buy sugar in 50 kilograms, you sell it in 1 kilogram or half a kilogram quantities to the consumers. Some cases require the intermediary buying in small quantities from various producers, piling up the stock, then selling it in larger quantities to retailer, to the final consumers who may need it in large scale. For example, when you talk of a boarding school, these are schools where students or pupils are given food. I'll take an example of, let's say, milk. They need to buy milk to make tea for the students. Now, the school has a population of 3,000 students, and they need 200 liters of milk. Now, the farmer has only 5 liters of milk. Another farmer has 10 liters of milk. Another farmer has 20 liters of milk. So, this intermediary who has to supply the milk to the school will buy the various milk from the farmers, put them together, assemble, then deliver to the school. That is accumulating that. There's also risk taking. Now, intermediaries relieve the producer of any risks associated with the movement of goods to the consumer. This may include the risk of damage to the goods. They take over that. They also provide finances. The intermediaries provide finances which facilitate the movement of goods to the consumer. They pass information from the producer to the consumer, and also from the consumer to the producer. What could be some of the information? Information could be maybe due to changes in prices. Okay? The producer may wish to increase the price of the commodities maybe in a month or in 2 weeks' time. So they are going to pass that information to the intermediaries, who will pass over to the final consumer. Or the consumers may be complaining that maybe the color or the taste of the commodity is not very appealing. So this information will be passed over to the intermediaries, will communicate to the final producers to change that. They also do product promotion, where they advertise and they market the products on behalf of the producer. They also offer transport and storage. They store goods in their warehouses before taking them to the market. And they also provide variety. So when they buy from various producers, they have a variety which they later sell to the consumers. And finally, they avail goods to the consumers. Intermediaries make goods accessible to consumers apart from ensuring steady supply of goods, which also ensures that prices will be stable. So whenever consumers want goods, they are going to get them from the intermediaries. So for our next lesson, we'll be looking at the reasons for eliminating intermediaries. In other words, why would a producer sell directly to consumers? What are the benefits of selling goods directly to the consumers and not through the intermediaries? Go through the lesson, write the notes, and if you have any questions, you will ask during